the first thing I learned was a classical story and almost a big epic story always goes a long way. And this is why I think Hollywood or big production companies are always looking for these kind of epic, big adventure films because one, they're quite easy to understand, and two, they have mass audience appeal and therefore make more money. So that's one thing that I kind of learned is that not necessarily all the time, but a lot of the time, big epic stories that are very exciting, very thrilling, that kind of a more aimed towards families and bigger groups of people typically tend to do quite well, and that's why lots of them are made, but lots of them are actually quite good as well. Or like with Flash Gordon, I actually quite enjoyed it. And another thing I learned that you guys can benefit from is it's always your job to push the envelope. Now, what I mean by this is Flash Gordon, obviously looking at the effects now, I mean, this film came out in 1980, effects are pretty crap now. But back then, they were probably very revolutionary. I don't know, I haven't researched it, but I'm guessing so, because it's quite ambitious for its time. And, you know, there was not much of that going on in the 1980s. So they pushed the envelope in terms of visual effects. And when I say push the envelope, it's very broad in what I'm trying to say. Flash Gordon did it by pushing the envelope with visual effects, special effects, big epic fantasy stories. They made a contribution to films and cinema by doing that. And there's lots of films that do that as well. What I'm trying to say for you guys and for me, we can push our envelope in our different ways. What are you doing in your film that's going to stand out and be unique? How's it going to revolutionize, be somewhat revolutionary in cinema? How are you going to remake cinema? How are you going to make it better for audiences? And and you know, that's another thing I learned, is it's always kind of your job as a filmmaker, whatever you do, is to push the envelope. And as I said, it's quite broad. I mean, the corner stop, I'm thinking about how did I push the envelope. I think one of the things I did by pushing the envelope was incredibly ambitious with not much money. I think I pushed the envelope in the sense of it being a greater scale of things and being done on something so much more lower, so much more cheaper. I think that's how I pushed the envelope. So there you go. Those are the two main things I learned from Flash Gordon. So I've given you guys that. Now, I'll actually go into what I thought about Flash Gordon and the whole experience I had. It was actually a very strong recommendation from my dad. My dad kept going on about watching it. Not too sure why, but he did. Oh, Flash Gordon was quite fun. It was a very fun kind of film, very entertaining, very wacky, very just like out there, just wacky film. It's just like, what? It's just like, what the hell's going on anymore? It was like the whole story was very simple, but it was just told in such a wacky way. I mean, I know why it is, because obviously it's like a big fantasy space adventure film, but yeah. The iconic soundtrack, I mean, with the soundtrack, I believe the Queen did the iconic song. Aside from that, that's the only one I already heard of lyrics and like an actual song, in the sense that it wasn't just like instruments. The other ones, a lot of the tracks in the film were instruments and instrument like based. So I don't know if Queen did those, but yeah, regardless, some good music, some very 80s music, very retro music, and some a good soundtrack, and obviously the Flash Gordon song being very, very good. I like the text as well. I like the quick intro, just something I really like specifically. And also, moving on to the effects. Now, obviously, the effects is probably the main thing that motivates this film. It makes it stand out. It probably got the wide acclaim that it did at the time. And obviously, they are dated now, but I do love corny effects. Something I just personally love. And obviously, this one took it to the max because there was corny effects all the time. But I appreciate what it was for its time and how revolutionary it was. But it's actually quite cool now. I think this is another point I made actually, is it's funny to see this kind of film, like these films, this obviously was rare for its time, but these films now are done a lot of the time. Superhero films, big epic films, Marvel films, DC films, and seeing how far we've come from about 45 years from that film to like Marvel films, DC films, is crazy. It's actually quite crazy. And that goes to show, I think, that Flash Gordon was one of those driving or motivating factors. Now, talking about like digital and visual effects and things that I know, not physical. Talking about physical things now, what I did really like about the film was the set design and the costumes and the sets and the props, they're all very unique, all very different. The one thing I did notice is when she's speaking on the microphone to like kill Flash Gordon, it's like a 60s 70s microphone. It's like they couldn't have got a better microphone. It's just, yeah, that's one thing I noticed. But point is the whole film had this very epic, believable physically, with the sets, the props, the costumes. It was all very well done in that sense, and which I quite liked actually. You could tell some of it was cheaply done, but I liked that. I think it was good. That was definitely a good part of it. And I wrote here halfway down, what the fuck is going on? Because it wasn't because of the story, or it's just like, you know, it wasn't like it was some sort of crazy film. It was just like, what is actually going on? There's just so much going on. It's like Star Wars times 2. There was a real cool sequence with the mind sequence when the guy is getting a laser and he has this like thing around him and it's going back through all his life. It was very much like Black Ops 1. Weird. Like, I'm actually drawing a video game reference here, but Black Ops 1 is very similar. I just liked it, how very quick and rapid it was, the sound effects, the way it was done. I just thought it was a cool sequence. And I also thought the tree stump sequence was really good with Timothy Dalton and Flash Gordon. I don't know the actor who played Flash Gordon. Timothy Dalton's I actually really like Timothy Dalton in the film. I think Timothy Dalton's probably my favourite character in the film. I just thought it was really good. And also their fight as well, which was really, really good. So there's some really good sequences in it that were actually quite like suspenseful and like, you know, kind of like, whoa, this is actually pretty good. Because I feel like the whole Flash Gordon thing can be taken like very like unseriously, and I get it because it is a bit crazy. But there's some really good cinematic things and qualities to it that I personally enjoyed. And I like we've got around here. Probably the one thing I wasn't too keen on is how just like didn't seem very. I think with me, because I don't really like superhero films, I think I've come to the conclusion that I don't particularly like some superhero films. I like some of them. I don't shit on them, but there's some of them I don't like. It's because they're so like they don't feel humanistic. They don't feel like human. They just feel very. Like, I kind of felt that with Flash Gordon a lot more. I think that's probably why I like fantasy from Lord of the Rings and fantasy from Harry Potter, because it's like people and it's like the world. It's not the world, but like it's like got that quality to it. Whereas like Flash Gordon doesn't. I mean, I guess it's sci-fi, science fiction, you know. So there you go. But regardless, I think that's one thing I wasn't too keen on. Is it just felt so like outside. It didn't feel like very relatable, resonant. But again, I'm being picky, and it's just my opinion. And that would be a good film. I don't do drugs, but if you did do drugs, that would be a pretty wacky film to watch on drugs. Because I'm watching it and I'm thinking I'm on drugs watching it. So I don't know if I actually was on drugs. Got written down here on what I liked. I liked how exciting it was. It was quite an exciting film. I like the ambition of it and how it pushed the envelope. And that's what I learned, as I said before. I like the design or the design work or the costumes. What I didn't like, again, this is just my opinion. I'm not shitting on any film because I don't do that. The story. It's a bit like, you know, classic evil guy, take over world, destroy the planet, man has to save world, you know. And obviously the effects, again, I understand it's the 80s, but when you're in like 2025 and that could be replicated better in CapCut, I'm being picky, but it's a bit of like, it's not a struggle to watch, but you're like, oh my god, Jesus Christ. You know, but obviously the 80s, and I respect it, pushed the envelope there, and the effects were brilliant for its time, and the acting was obviously, I think the only acting that seemed quite believable was Timothy Dalton. I think that's probably what makes the film, again, the mistakes and the kind of things that are deemed as bad kind of make it a bit better, because I wasn't too keen on the acting, but I think, yeah, I mean, because of how crazy and like fantasy like it is, you can't really make it particularly believable. So, yeah, again, I'm being picky, but I'm just saying my thoughts. But ultimately, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was okay. I don't think I liked it as much as my dad, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was exciting. I didn't see anything like, I wasn't like really hated it. But I enjoyed the film ultimately, and it's good to watch. What I have realised is there actually is a lot of wicked films on Prime Video. There's like 4 films that I really want to watch, or 3 actually. Army of Darkness, so the 3rd installment of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead, and we got The Thief. Now The Thief, I couldn't find Thief. I was hearing about Edgar Wright and people talk about Thief, and it sounded brilliant. Like, it sounded good, and I wanted to watch it. but I couldn't get hold of it, and now it's on Prime Video for free ads, and I'm looking forward to that. Save that for a special night, because I know it's right down my alley. The 80s crime, James Caan guns, epic. So yeah, that. And then what was it? Oh yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. What a title! Cannot not want to click on that and watch it. So I should be watching that as well. But yeah, that's what I draw from Gordon Ramsay, from Flash Gordon. Gordon is alive. Yeah. There you go, people. Have a nice evening, afternoon, or whatever.